Hi, I'm Jenny Fish with One Big Happy Yarn Company, and welcome to Block 7 Mitered Square of our 2024 Block of the Month Knit Along. I love mitered squares. They're just a comfort to knit for me. This one is just like this. I'll show you here. Right here, our mitered square. So mitered squares, I want to show you a little bit of the construction before we get started. You cast on double the amount of stitches than we have been. Normally we've been casting on 20 for this one. We're casting on 40. We're back to our size 8 knitting needle. So we cast on here and then we work decreases through the center that brings it up into a square, and then we bind off just a few stitches here at the end. So that's the construction of a mitered square. It's all worked in garter stitch, which means we're going to knit every stitch, keep it really simple, but I love the texture. We're also incorporating stripes into our mitered square. We will be carrying our yarn up the side, so we won't be cutting our yarn as we work along, and just switching between the two colors every other row, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've cast on using the long tail cast on a few stitches here. I've started with first color, then the second color is what I'm going to start knitting with. That's going to create our first stripe. So I'm starting row 1 in the second color. That's what's going to give us our first stripe. I'm going to knit 20. In your pattern it says knit 20 stitches because that's the halfway point. I'm doing a little sample here, so I'm going to knit to the halfway point of my little sample. And then place a stitch marker. And then knit. Something else I like to do with mitered squares just to help myself stay on track. Once I'm done with row 1, I take a locking stitch marker because this is garter stitch. So garter stitch looks the same on both sides. I like to just place it right here. I will move this up as I get more fabric, but this is a really helpful indicator that this is the right side of my work. This comes in handy because we do all of our decreases on the wrong side of our work. So if I'm on this side with my locking stitch marker hanging out in the fabric, I know this is not the side that I'm going to do the decreases on. Okay, so I'm flipping my work over. I'm continuing to work with the second color. And now I'm going to knit to 2 stitches before that stitch marker that I just placed there. I've got 2 stitches before my stitch marker, and I'm going to simply knit those 2 stitches together with a K2 tug, just like that. Knit 2 together. Then slide my stitch marker. Then I'm going to work what's called an SSK, slip, slip, knit. It's a decrease. We are slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit. Then I'm taking my left needle and I'm going between the front legs so that now my right needle is in the back loop, and I'm going to knit those 2 together through the back loop, just like that. Then I continue knitting to the end of this row. Now you'll notice this is where my tails were, and they're the tension's a little wonky. I'm going to go ahead and just tug a little bit on my tails because I like to tighten up that tension a little bit so that it's not so loosey-goosey. Just like that. I just think it looks better when you do that. Just tug on those a little bit and make them match the stitches next to them. Now I'm ready to switch colors again. Make sure my cord is not through, and I'm going to be bringing the first color up and just start knitting with it, and I'm letting the second color hang down here. It's going to hang down there until I'm ready for it again. It'll be just fine. It's called carrying it up the side as I switch, because all of my color changes are going to be on this one side. Then I knit all the way across. This is the right side of the work, so I'm not doing any decreases. I'm just going to go ahead and knit all the way across. When I get to my stitch marker, I just simply slide that from one needle to the next, continue knitting. just like this. So now I have enough fabric on here that I can move this stitch marker up and that it's not just like in my cast on area. I can just slide it through this fabric right here. And I can move that up as I go along to help keep it just really in my view at all times. Then I'm going to turn around and again I'll show you those decreases one more time. Knit to 2 stitches before the stitch marker, and I'm on the wrong side of my work. So I'm going to be doing the decrease, and that's knit 2 together, just like that. Slide the marker, and then an SSK. Slip, slip, slide this through here. So now my right needle is in the back loop. Knit those 2 together, and then continue on. Now I'll continue working these 2, switching my colors. Every time I get to the right side, I'll be switching the colors, picking up the next one, knitting with it, letting the other one hang out until I have 4 stitches left on my needles, and then I'll show you how we finish up the top of our mitered square. I'm down to the final 4 stitches. I want to show you how we finish this off. With the first color, we are going to knit 2 together. Let me get this all here. There we go. Knit 2 together. I can go ahead and take my stitch marker off now. So keep in mind, I'm on the right side of my work, and we're breaking the rules that I already told you about. We are decreasing on the right side of the work. This is just for the last 4 stitches. Then I'm going to go ahead and do an SSK. Now I'm down to 2 stitches. I'm turning my work, and I'm just going to simply knit those 2 together. Then I have my last loop. To fasten off this last loop, you just cut your yarn, same as when you bind off. Then you take your yarn, slide it through that loop, and pull, and that cinches that off. Then there is your mini mitered square, but here's what it looks in real size. And you just go ahead and make 6 more of those using the sequence chart so you know which colors I used. And then meet me back here for next month, block number 8. If you still haven't got your kit, click in the description box below. There's a link. It'll take you to the kit, which has the pattern and all the yarn that you need. Thank you so much, and happy knitting.